Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the newest installment of Filthy Sports. My name is, of course, John Campia. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Ryan Myers is here.
What's up, sports fans?
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks for being here and making our little show part of your day. Listen, thank you for joining us here on our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on our podcast feed. You can follow the Filthy Sports Podcast. Just go onto your favorite podcasting app of choice like Spotify and subscribe to the podcast today. All right, guys, listen, we got a whole bunch of stuff to get to. So let's get things kicked off with this. Now, of course, probably the biggest news, even with the Davante Adams signing today, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Probably the biggest news of the NFL season so far was the midseason firing, early season firing of the New York Jets coach, Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
And I remember when we talked about it on Filthy Sports, some people said, they should get Bill Belichick. And I said, well, sure, but they'll never get Bill Belichick. There's no way Bill Belichick goes there with that ownership. To which I had a whole bunch of our viewers write into me and say, John, you don't know what you're talking about. Bill Belichick and Woody Johnson, owner of the Jets, get along just fine. He would go there. I'm like, all right. You believe that? Well, last night on Monday Night Football on the Manning cast, on the Peyton and Eli, Peyton or Peyton?
Peyton.
And Eli cast of the Monday night game, Bill Belichick stopped in. You can see a little screenshot of that here. Had a little discussion, and this conversation came up. Peyton said, "It seemed quite early to me to be making a coaching change." Peyton Manning said, to which Bill Belichick said, "Yeah, well, look, that's kind of what it's been there at the Jets," Belichick responded. "They've barely won over 30% of their games in the last 10 years, and the owner being the owner, just ready, fire, aim."
To which they told Bill, "Oh, Bill, we're actually live right now.
Yeah.
Cameras are hot.
No, Bill, we're live.
Mics are hot."
Mics are hot. Ready, fire, aim. And the owner being the owner, I laughed my ass off when I heard him say this. And listen, he's not just being mean. I mean, every coach in the NFL knows this. They've got a completely unhinged owner who has consistently lost. Like, look, since he took over, like Belichick's saying in the last 10 years, they barely won over 30%. He's right. And ever since he took over, the last 24 years, because he took over in 2020.
Yeah.
Leading into the 2024 season, the New York Jets have won 159 games and lost 225 under this owner. In 24 years, they've made the playoffs 6 times. In 24 years. Never made it to the Super Bowl under this owner. And you just have to ask yourself the question about, I quoted this the other day. I was watching Mike Greeny, and he made this great point. He goes, if you have a bad season, maybe you can look at the quarterback. If you have a bad couple of seasons, maybe you look at the coach. But if you've had a bad couple of decades, you got to look at the ownership. The ownership is clearly the problem. And last night, as the Jets played the Buffalo Bills, it was on display again. You went out and got yourself a quarterback that is well past his prime, is now at best an average quarterback. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. You got rid of a defensive genius in your head coach. When defense wasn't the problem of your team, you were ranked second in the league in defense. Offense was your problem. The coach didn't like the offensive coordinator, who was Aaron Rodgers' buddy, and before you know it, the coach has shown the door. So, I mean, it is what it is. But look, Ryan, I'm not surprised to hear Belichick say, I've got issues with the New York Giants coach. Bill Belichick is not exactly a talker.
No.
At least outside of the dressing room. He's not exactly a talker. And he's podcasting now, so I don't know. This is a surprisingly candid Bill Belichick. But you hearing him say this, do you think what he's thinking is probably reflective of a lot of the coaches in the NFL, or do you think this is just confined to him?
I think he definitely has a gripe with them, so I think he kind of probably goes a little overboard, but I do think, it shows, like you said, they haven't had a consistent winning, record in a long time. And and this owner seems like he's kind of doing stuff that, you know, is not for the good of the team. So the whole, you know, he was originally supposed to be the Jets coach when Bill Parcells
Wasn't he
was
like
there.
a coach for like
So-
1 day?
Yeah, so he was the defensive coordinator, and the agreement was that when Bill Parcells steps down, he would be the coach. But at the same time, the Jets were going through an ownership change. So there
Right.
was a thing where Parcells might hang around, and then he wanted to have Belichick want to have full control, and Patriots were going to give that to him, so he left. So Jets fans were mad, you know, rightfully so. But he was trying to look out for himself. Also, the Jets were the ones that brought up the Patriots are stealing signs
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So that too. So that leads into it. So yeah, I think he definitely has a gripe with them, you know, rightfully so or not, depending on his opinion. But I do think his comments are valid. He also called it that Saleh was doing a good job. It just was a slow start. He changed the culture there. He had a tough personality and things were changing, but then the owner stepped in and did something, you know, middle of the season, like we're talking about. 5 games in, that's kind of crazy.
5 games,
So-
especially 5 games in when they were literally their next game was playing for first place in the
Yeah.
and you know that's what the part. Look, again, I've always said this. I will never sit here and defend and say Robert Saleh is a great NFL head coach and he's proven he's a great. I'm not saying that, but when you've suddenly got you thrust an Aaron Rodgers in there and you're 5 games in and clearly you needed to make a change at offensive coordinator, and that's what from all reports he was looking at doing.
Yeah.
I'll never understand not letting him get 1 full season with Aaron Rodgers under his belt, but unless there was an issue with Aaron Rodgers, which is what we all speculate.
Yeah. I mean, we think so. They're going to say no, but
Of course, they would.
everyone's like, you know,
Of course they would.
who's actually running the team was what
Oh
we're
yeah,
deciding.
that's exactly what's going on here. And to me, what this really says is if Bill Belichick is saying this out loud, I think there's going to be a lot of, first of all, there's going to be coaches out there that'll be willing to jump at any coaching position for sure. But I think if Bill Belichick is saying this out loud, there's a lot of NFL caliber coaches that are also thinking it.
Yeah.
And if they get the option between almost any other job or going to the Jets, they're going to take almost any other job. So we'll see how it turns out. Question is for you guys. What do you think about Belichick's comments? I think they're right on the money. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's go on to this. The Detroit Lions won the battle this week, but arguably maybe lost the war as their arguably best player, other than Jeff Goff, maybe?
Jared Goff.
Jared, I keep saying Jeff Goff.
yeah.
And whenever I refer to Jared Goff, I always say Jeff, 100% every time. And I guarantee I'll do it again this show. So Aidan Hutchinson had a horrific leg injury. I mean, it was hard to look at and it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of guys in the sports punditry circles were saying, there does not go Detroit's season, but there goes their chances at the Super Bowl. To which I'm not really sure I buy that, but his importance to the team. The guy is leading the league in sacks, pressures, and I think knockdowns. He's got 6.5 sacks. Hell, that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that guy was freaking Thanos. Like there was nothing. He got 4.5 sacks that one game. They had to change their entire offensive scheme just because Hutchinson was just destroying them. Anyway, a couple of really interesting comments have come out about there's a chance Hutchinson may return this season. It started with the coach, Campbell, over at Detroit. This is what he said. He said, I would never count Hutch out, ever, Campbell said. So probably a long road, but I would never count him out. And I would say if anybody can make it back, they're talking about in the terms of this season, it'd be him. Campbell said Hutchinson's surgery went great on Sunday night at Baylor White Medical Center, Irvine, Texas. So that went great. Now, my first thought is, well, of course the coach is sounding supportive and cheering. If anybody can do it, here can do it. But come on, anybody who saw that doesn't believe for a second he can come back. But it turns out the Detroit coach isn't the only guy saying that. According to a Detroit report, a reporter said this, that a close member of Hutchinson's family said this to a reporter. Remember, this is a member of his family.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it looked bad, it's less of an injury than he suffered in college. Pretty soon he will be bionic. When we make it to the Super Bowl, he will be ready to go. When we make it to the Super Bowl, he will be ready to go. So you got the coach. To me, it sounded wishful thinking, but kind of implying that there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. There's a chance that he could make it back. If they make it into the playoffs and do a deep playoff run, he could make it back. Okay, that's fine. But then a family member says, actually, look, this injury isn't as bad as the one he had before. And you watch, he will be back. But if we get to the Super Bowl, who knows, maybe even before that, he'll be back. Question, though. You never want to rush an injury.
It's just a leg.
It's just a leg.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's not like to his brain.
No.
It's just a leg.
He has 2 of them, guys.
Yeah. Just slap some wood and a nail in there, you're fine. But I've got 2 concerns. One, the idea of trying to rush him back. Again, I'm not as concerned about that because listen, if a doctor clears him and says, look, your leg is as good right now as it's ever going to be, you can go. That's fine. Here's my second problem. And I think about this in sports all the time when a guy's been out the whole season or half a season and then comes back in the quarterfinals or something like that, is this. Let's say it's even before the Super Bowl. Let's say it's the, division championships, whatever. At that point, you're going to have another player who's been playing consistently for like 10 weeks, probably 12 weeks at that point. Do you pull that player out who's been playing and is no rust, whatever, and then insert in even somebody like Hutchinson who has been lying on his back for 8 weeks and then walking in a boot for 3 more weeks and then kind of started practicing in for 2 weeks? I don't know. I just think at this point, I know he's great, but Detroit is even great without him. I say you don't even entertain the idea. You just say, dude, here's a PlayStation 5. Here's a year-long membership to Pornhub. I don't care. You stay in that bed, lift that leg, and you just be ready to
work
go
out your arms, apparently.
Yeah, just curl.
Upper body only.
I don't know. What would you do in their spot? And what do you think ultimately is going to happen here?
The typical recovery time is 4 to 6 months. 4 months would be the Super Bowl. So that's on the very low end of it. I mean, like you said, he'd have to come back, ramp up, and play in the most important game in Lions history, probably, if they made the Super Bowl. So I don't know if that's the time to do that. He's a great player. I mean, there's other players that have come back from injury very fast. Like T.O. came back from his surgery in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I think Terrell Suggs came back in like 6 months from a torn Achilles. So there is some history of people coming back fast, but completely snapping your leg into and then coming back in 4 months and a pass rusher doing these type of moves. I don't know. I don't see it. It could be kind of going to what you're saying. Maybe someone does take his spot, but maybe that person isn't good. So maybe they do need the help.
Anything would be better,
so
sort of thing.
They would need something. But yeah, I think it's really just up to the doctors. I'm sure he probably will have a titanium thing in his leg probably after this, putting his bones back together. So
here's interesting. A lot of people are saying they should be, and some people in live chat are saying this too, but we've been hearing a lot of calls saying they should go out and trade for Max Crosby. Now, obviously right now, because we're going to get to Davante Adams, the Raiders are having a yard sale.
Yeah, the fire sale. Yep.
Over there at, what's the name of it? Allegiant. Over there at Allegiant Stadium in the parking lot, they're rolling out their players. There's a garage sale going on. My thing would be go out and get Crosby depending on what you'd have to give up for him. Because like I said, it's not like Detroit's in trouble. Like their offense,
it's good.
Top 1 or 2 offense in the league, in my opinion, when they're firing. They're going to put up a lot of points and they're going to beat most teams with or without Hutchinson. So I guess if you can get Crosby for like a 3rd round pick, sure. If somebody wants 2 2-round picks or a 1st and a 2nd, I say thanks, but no thanks. I think we'll try our luck and keep our future intact. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think Aidan Hutchinson can make it back for a late playoff run or the Super Bowl? It seems unlikely to me, but there are people in his camp that say it might be possible. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this. What day is it today?
The October 15th.
What day of the week?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, so it ends in a Y. Well, if today is a day that ends in a Y, it must mean Kawhi Leonard is injured. Because according to a new report, the LA Clippers superstar, can you call somebody a superstar if they never play? The LA Clippers superstar is indeed going to be staying out for the entire preseason, and they're not definitive that he'll be back in time for the regular season either. Listen, as a Canadian, a guy who grew up in the Hamilton, Toronto area, that guy will always drink free if I'm in the bar with him, because he brought an NBA title to Toronto. And I'll never forget it, and he'll always be a hero in my books. But, yeah, Mighty Tank 1 is saying in the live chat, he never should have left Toronto. Damn right, he never should have left Toronto. Anyway, how's that gone for you, Kawhi? But, again, hero in my books. But there's a saying in sports that says the most important ability is what, Ryan?
Availability.
Availability. I want to go down some numbers here with you, because this is stunning. In the 2019-2020 season, the Kawhi Leonard went to the Clippers. He missed 15 games. That's not the worst.
That's not horrible. Yeah.
It's not good, but it's not the worst. But he missed 15 games. In the 2020-2021 season, he missed 20 games. That's 35 games missed in 2 seasons.
That was the bubble season, I think.
Yeah. In the 2021-2022 season, he missed all 82 games. In the 2022-2023 season, he missed 30 games. In total, he has missed 147 games just for the Clippers.
Now, how many of those did he get paid for?
147 of them.
Yeah.
Then in my book, he's winning.
It's true.
Oh, he's more than winning.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Again, leg up PlayStation 5 1-year membership to Pornhub. You're good. He's getting paid millions of dollars. He's absolutely winning. You know who's not winning? The Clippers, who have just opened a $2 billion, not football stadium, basketball arena. Most expensive of its kind in the world. I'm going there in a couple of weeks. The Inuit Dome, they call it. I'm going there in a couple of weeks. It looks like it's going to be the most incredible, fantastic, technologically advanced hockey or basketball stadium ever built. It looks incredible. I'll make a video of it when I go there to visit. That place is insane. Apparently, like double the bathrooms of any other stadium of its kind. USB charging and interconnection at every seat in the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, it's just supposed to be nuts. I can't wait to go see it. And what are they going to populate? If that's gorgeous. What are they going to populate this place with? Paul George? No. He ain't there anymore. He's off at the 76ers now.
But he got hurt yesterday.
And he got injured.
He
But
got
he's not going to
injured.
be out. He's
He's
not
okay,
bad.
but he's
He'll be
something with
fine.
his knee already. Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard? If you're lucky, he'll play half the games this year. So what does that leave the Clippers with?
The best player in LA.
Who is?
The beard.
The beard.
The frequenter of strip clubs, James Harden.
The guy who is the system.
The system.
You know what? I used to like Harden a lot. I would still take him on my team. Not at his price tag, but I would take him on my team. But I used to like him a lot until he came to the Clippers. Now, I don't know if you saw this. He was doing this press conference preseason, and this is when I told that James Harden completely turned me off. They asked him the question. It's a fair question. How fast do you see yourself fitting into the system in LA? To which he's come into a team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And when asked a simple question, how quick do you think you're going to be able to fit into the system in LA? He looked at the reporter and said, I am the system. I'm like, I'm done with this guy.
I want that on a shirt.
I am the system. I'm
This
like,
guy, The Rock? What's happening there?
it doesn't matter what you think. I mean, it was one of the most preposterous, ridiculous things I had ever heard of. It's just such a ridiculous statement. I was like, I just tuned out of the guy after that. I ain't saying the guy can't ball, I'm just saying he kind of gave. So the Clippers are starting this season. No Paul George. It'll be iffy if they have Kawhi. You got a jackass in James Harden, and people are going to be going. This is going to be a situation where people are going to be going to this thing just to see the stadium.
Yeah.
And they're lucky. Now, I think they've got a great owner. I mean, seriously, clearly a guy who loves his team, who wants them to win, is not afraid to put out the money for it. They've screwed themselves a little bit here, but we'll see. But anyway, Ryan, I don't know. Is it possible? Let's say Kawhi is back for the start of the regular season, which they're not guaranteeing. In what world do we see a Kawhi Leonard who actually plays 75 games?
You have a time machine? Because it's not going to happen. He's 33 years old. When he went to Toronto, the thing from the Spurs was he had a degenerative issue with his knee at that point.
Yeah.
And it's been, 7 years since then or more. So you counted down the time that he's missed. At his peak, and even still, when he does play, he's one of the best players. He's on the top 75 all-time team.
He's so good. He's must-watch TV.
Two-time Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, probably top 10 defender of all time.
Needs to find a new hat.
Yeah.
says
No
the
Padres.
says the Dodgers fan.
So, this is not going to get better. He does want to be available for the playoffs. It pretty much means he can't play regular season games. He has to miss back-to-backs. He has to miss, whatever kind of time. The whole thing him was load management.
Yeah.
What do you do with him? So at this point, to get him ready for the playoffs, he pretty much probably can only play 40 games a season. Because then every playoff game, players say, are twice the intensity of a regular season game. So the mileage on that is even more. He just got a brand new contract last year, 3 years, 150. So he'll be signed for them until 28 season.
Oof.
So
For a guy who'll maybe get halftime.
Yeah. I know they had to sign him because they wanted to have a superstar going into this new arena. Looking at this, both of them didn't bring anything, playoff wins or championships to the Clippers, but the safer bet would have been Paul George.
Keep him 100%, and way
go.
more production.
Yeah, and let Kawhi go. And I don't know why they kept him. I wouldn't have, because he can't stay on the court. He's super good, and I feel so bad because in the playoffs he shows what he can do in like 1 or 2 games, like against the Mavericks, and then he'll go out of the game and he won't come back. And then the Clippers don't say anything, and then the offseason he has surgery again.
It's every once in a while you come across a player in any of the major sports where like injuries become a big thing. But I honestly believe this. If Kawhi Leonard had been healthy, I think today, I'm not saying he's above any of these people. I'm just saying I honestly think if Kawhi Leonard had stayed healthy this whole time, he's in conversations with Kobe. He's in conversations with LeBron. I'm not saying I put him above those guys. I'm just saying, I think you're talking about one of the great NBA careers had he stayed healthy and been able to play. But again, like we said, he's a part-time player.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, they're starting the season off on the wrong foot, 1 foot, because Kawhi's not going to play any of the preseason. They're not guaranteed he's going to be ready to play for the start of the season. How many games can he play in a season? How often are you going to be able to fill that building when your main superstar isn't going to be there half the time? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, what's their record right now? 4-2? If you can double check that, look that up for me. I think they're 4-2. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, the Steelers have started off the season strong. They've looked pretty good. They put up wins. They are 4-2. Yep. And they're 4-2. Nothing to sneeze at. And the guy who's been their starting quarterback, Justin Fields, came over from Chicago where they got rid of him to make room for Caleb Williams. That some people question. I don't think anybody's questioning that now, the way Caleb is developing. Mm-hmm. But still, they've been winning with him. Now, going into the season, though, they announced that Russell Wilson was their starting quarterback. He got injured, so Justin Fields has been playing ever since, and they've won. And so a lot of people have been saying, well, Russell Wilson is done. He ain't going to get the starting job back because they're winning. And what have I been saying? I said, I think you still go back to Russell Wilson when he's ready to go. Why? Well, because even though the Steelers are winning, they're not looking great, and Fields has not exactly been lighting it up. Even though they're a 4-2 team, Fields has thrown for about 1,100 yards. That ranks him as number 22 in quarterback. His QBR right now is 54.0, which ranks him as 20th in the league. He's only thrown 5 touchdown passes. He has been protecting the ball.
Yeah.
He's only done, I can't remember how many fumbles he has, but it hasn't been many. He's only had 1 interception, so he's been protecting the ball, but he's been playing, his level of play has been down near the bottom in the lower third. And you got Russell Wilson sitting over there. So it's not a big surprise when ESPN writes that Steelers coach Mike Tomlin to consider starting Russell Wilson versus the Jets. Now, Tomlin's talked about this. He said he's been wanting to see, in practices, Russell Wilson showing his mobility again, his ability to move quickly, all that kind of stuff to protect himself. And he's saying now that he's been seeing it this week. He's been getting half the first team snaps. Yeah. And they're playing against the Jets. And I would almost want to say this. Should they move to Russell Wilson? Yes. 100%. I've been saying that. They should move to Russell Wilson. And if it's a disaster, okay, then go back to Fields. I'm not saying it won't be a disaster, but I'm saying I think there is more potential with Russell Wilson under center for the Steelers than there is for Justin Fields. Because we've seen what Justin Fields can do. And I'm sorry, the guy can run, but there's not a lot else there. As a GM, I'd be happy to have him as a backup on my team, but I think the Steelers are winning not because of Justin Fields. They're winning kind of despite him. And I think if you put in a Russell Wilson, I think the potential becomes a little bit higher, and I think that can work. Do you put him in, though, against the number 2 ranked defense in the league right away? I would say yes to that as well, because if you are still wanting to develop Justin Fields, everybody forgets Justin Fields still young.
Yeah.
Maybe the best thing isn't to run him out there against the New York Jets and their defense. So maybe that's good. I don't know if they'll start him this week or save him one more week, save Russell Wilson one more week, and then get him in there. But I think inevitably you have to go back to him. Fields just isn't doing it. I don't know. What do you think about this? Is it the right thing to go to Russell Wilson, or should they as long as they keep winning, should they just stay with Justin Fields?
I think the biggest issue is the offense has been inconsistent. Like the last 2 games, they've only thrown 150 yards. So like you're saying, Fields is basically winning them the games by not turning it over and running the ball. So he's basically a running back at this point that does some passes.
I'd say this. Justin Fields is not winning them the games. He's not losing them the games. The other aspects of the team are winning them the games.
Yeah, and Tomlin kind of alluded to that. They asked him, like, what does he think how Fields has done? And he said that he's doing good and the team's been good, but they're not great. There's room for improvement. And I think Russell Wilson could give them that based on, obviously, his past. Won a Super Bowl, put up huge numbers in Seattle. Towards the end of Broncos, he did better. But right now, they don't have a passing game. They need to have some kind of passing game. So I think they're going to give him a shot. Tomlin mentioned he doesn't rule out playing both of them.
Which may not be a bad idea, depending on the situation.
So I think they got to give it a shot. I think they can try it and see how it goes and see if they can get something going with the offense. If not, they can always go back to Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But I think they have something they don't know, and they need to explore and see if there's something there with Russell Wilson, and if he could put up numbers. As far as going against the Jets, at least with Russell Wilson, the offense might be, multi-dimensional instead of one-dimensional. And he can prepare for it and stuff like that. So I think there's a chance that they can see what they get. And if they get a big win and put up points, then they know what they got. At least for now, to see what happens.
And I've heard some people go, well, if you bench Justin Fields, you're going to shatter his confidence. Justin Fields is not the starter. You're not benching him. It was announced prior to the season starting, Russell Wilson is the number 1 quarterback. Justin Fields is the backup. Russell Wilson got injured, so the backup comes in. When the starter's ready to come back, he goes back to the bench. Fields goes back to the bench, and they're not benching him. It's not his turn. And I'm seeing some people even in our online chat saying, oh, Fields has been playing good. Well, what football games are you watching? He's literally in the bottom third of NFL quarterbacks in every major category except for interceptions. His QBR is junk. His yards are junk. He can't throw for touchdowns. He's literally in every category. He's in the bottom third ranking of the things. What do you mean he's playing well? He's not playing that well. The Steelers are winning. And that's the thing. It reminds me of movies. You know, I'm a movie guy. But like, when an actor's been in a great movie, people say, well, that actor's great. No, that actor was in a great movie. That doesn't mean the actor's great. Just because the Steelers have been winning does not mean that Fields has been great. And I think it's time you already declared Russell Wilson as your starting quarterback. Put him in there and see what you got. I think he increases your chances of winning. And I think his numbers certainly can't be any worse than Fields, although he does turn the ball over more.
Yeah, that's one thing. If he does try to pass too much and throws picks, they might go back to Fields.
Yeah.
If he can.
And look, again, somebody brought this up that I was just about to say. Ted Sanchez in the live chat is just saying something I was about to bring up. Justin Fields was the starting quarterback of the Bears. Now that he's gone, they're doing better. Now, granted, they got Caleb Williams, but they are a better team without him. And I'm not trying to trash on Justin Fields. I'm not trying to say he won't be a really good quarterback. I'm just saying he's still really young and he ain't there yet. And I think their better chance to win is with Russell Wilson. And if it doesn't turn out that way, go back to Fields and say, Fields, now you are our number one quarterback. And we'll see how that goes. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? At 4-2, the Steelers are saying, it might be time for us to go back to who we declared to be our starting quarterback, Russell Wilson. Good move, bad move. Do you think they'll mix them both into the game? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's jump over to some UFC for a second here. One of my absolute favorite fighters to watch in the UFC, going back almost more than a decade, is Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Not just because he wore the cowboy hat and you'd see him out on his farm and doing all the stuff that he does, or that he's funny and all that kind of stuff. And not even because of any of that. As a mixed martial artist, this dude was one of the smoothest strikers. He was a rare combination of being an absolutely devastating and smooth striker, very creative striker, and at the same time could dominate fights on the ground. I mean, I haven't looked at the stats to pull him up, but man, that guy had a lot of very cool submissions. And in the streak of late 2013 to 2016, he went on one of the hottest streaks. Like he was fighting, we're in an organization where a lot of guys will fight 2 times a year. He was fighting 4, sometimes 5 times a year. He'd be doing his post-fight interview and goes, hey, put me on the card next week. I'm ready to go. Like he was fighting multiple times a week. Between the end of 2013 and the end of 2016, he won 12 of 13 fights. The only loss he had in that streak was to Rafael dos Anjos. And at that time, that wrap-up, he was a bad man.
Yep.
There was no shame in that loss. But he came back from that. He beat Alex Oliveira. He beat Patrick the Predator Cote. He beat Matt Brown. I think he retired Matt Brown. I'm not sure about that. He had a lot of marquee wins. Then he retired. And now he is saying, according to this report, Donald Cerrone says he is coming out of retirement at what, 41?
41.
At 41 years of age, Donald Cerrone is coming out of retirement. Why? He says, because I've got 48 professional fights and I really want 50. I really want 50. Now, I love Cowboy. I love this guy, and I love watching him fight. He's one of the most singularly entertaining fighters I ever got to watch. But I'm going to tell you right now, there is no way that he should be coming out of retirement. No way. Donald Cerrone has not won a fight since May of 2019 against Al Iaquinta. That was a good fight, by the way. Mm-hmm. He failed to win any of his next 7 fights. He lost, I think he was the last guy Tony Ferguson beat. Tony Ferguson hasn't won a fight in like 75 fights. I think, like, I could be wrong about this, but I think Cerrone was the last guy that Tony Ferguson beat. I might be wrong, but whatever. Then he lost he got knocked out badly against Justin Gaethje. Again, no shame in that. Then he lost to Conor McGregor. No shame in that. Then he lost to Anthony Pettis. Then he had that no contest against Nico Price. Then he lost against Morono or something like that. Then he lost against Jim Miller. And anyway, he's lost. And in a number of those losses, he looked like he was getting hurt. And he was getting hurt badly.
And knocked out. And yeah.
He was suffering knockouts and chokeouts and all that kind of stuff. And it just, at a guy who was getting into his 40s, a guy who has fought as many times as he had, and a guy who just couldn't win anymore, I was quite happy and relieved to see one of my favorites take off the gloves, put him down in the ring, and said, thanks for the career, everybody. And the guy's a Hall of Famer. But at 41, having not won a fight in over 5 years, being knocked out the amount of times that he has lately, I honestly, I don't want to be pessimistic, but when he says, oh, I just want to get to 50, what that sounds like to me is I need a couple of big paychecks.
I was gonna say the same thing.
It sounds to me like I just need a couple of big paychecks. And I'll listen, as much as I'm sitting here saying I don't think he should do this, I'm not going to lie. If Donald Cowboy Cerrone is fighting somewhere, I'm going to go watch. Damn right, I'm going to go watch. Whether he's fighting a nobody or whether he's fighting a marquee name that I know he's going to get knocked out in the first round, I'm going to go see it. So that just kind of proves the point. But I think, I don't know, somebody has got to protect him from himself. I just don't think it's a good idea. Anyway,
yeah.
Ryan, what do you think about the idea of Cowboy Cerrone saying he's going to come out of retirement for 2 more fights?
I mean, I always love watching him fight too.
He's so entertaining.
Exciting, everything, stand his ground, slug it out. I think the fact that you called out he hasn't won a fight in 5 years, and they've all been pretty bad losses.
Yeah.
He did say once he retired, he was going to get on the treatment and testosterone and all that stuff, and then come back to fight maybe. So if he does that, he'd have to go through like their drug program.
Well, listen. Let me read this quote for you. To your point, he said, "So I've been working with Transcend for the last years, taking TRT and a bunch of peptides. Yeah. Now I got a protocol for all you people that, oh, wait, if you get on it, you can't come off it. Well, now I have to come off and piss clean, fight in a few months. So watch this."
So we'll see how that goes.
That's such a Cowboy Cerrone thing to say.
I know he wants to fight 2 more fights, but what if he gets destroyed in the first one coming back? Are they going to give him another one to get to 50?
Remember, near the end of his career, one of the really cool things to see is near the end of his career, like they had a new baby, and he would he'd come into the ring and they'd have the baby with the big earphones on, and he'd have his kid. And you just see him so happy being a dad. It's like the dude's got a family and children, and I worry.
I don't even know who he would fight. Like, his weight class is pretty brutal. Anybody that's
the lightweight
ranked
division right now is he's packed on some weight, so he'd probably move up to welterweight, I'm guessing.
I don't know if he can handle those guys. He's always
I don't think there's anybody he can handle right now.
Yeah, so like, who would he fight? Would it be somebody young? Would it be an older legend? Like, I don't know.
King Daddy Goat saying Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a weight
match.
Weight division difference.
I think people would want to see it. It's just, is it safe for him? And what's the payoff? Like, what happens after this first one? Or is there going to be another one? So, yeah, I think it's more of a payday thing, like you said.
But listen to some of the guys that Donald Cowboy Cerrone has beaten. He beat Matt Brown. Again, we already mentioned Alex Oliveira. He beat Benson Henderson. He had some great stuff with him, actually. He beat Eddie Alvarez, Miles Jury, Jim Miller, Edson Barbosa. He's just Jeremy Stevens.
But all those guys haven't fought so long.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Now we're getting into the archives now of the UFC roster, but he's just had some great fights and great wins. I just think he shouldn't come back. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Donald Cowboy Cerrone says he's going to come out of retirement and fight 2 more times. I will be there to see it if he does. I just really hope he doesn't do it. At 41, hasn't won a fight in 5 years, 6 brutal losses. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to what was the big story of the day. Everybody's known for the last couple of weeks that Davante Adams wanted out of Las Vegas. He wanted to be traded. the number one targeted area that everybody knew was probably going to be the New York Jets because he wants to be reunited with Aaron Rodgers, because he and Aaron Rodgers had tremendous success together. I think there was a couple of years streak where in those years, as a receiver quarterback combo, they were number one in yards, number two in touchdowns, something like that. Like, they had incredible success together. Well, it happened. The trade got done. This morning it got announced that Davante Adams has been traded from the Las Vegas Raiders over to the New York Jets for pocket change. What do you say? A round three,
third rounder, and
that could become a second round pick.
Yeah, and then the Jets will pay for his salary this year.
And the Jets got to pick up a salary, which is
$11 million.
One of the big things to consider. And just like when Aaron Rodgers went to the New York Jets, the sports media world is going nuts over, oh my God, the Jets are contenders now. I was one of the lone guys in the desert, and I felt like everybody thought I was an idiot. When the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, what do you think this is going to improve? Like, does Aaron Rodgers still have some magic left? Absolutely. But he's a quarterback who's now well past his prime. He couldn't get the Packers to the playoffs in his final year, and the very next year with Jordan Love picking up, they did make the playoffs without him. Then he had a brutal injury last year. He got another year older, and I'm sorry, but this year, he is, at best, an average quarterback. He has the 22nd ranked QBR in the league. He's got a 50.3 QBR, which puts him at 22nd in the league. For the first time in a long time that I can remember, his touchdowns to interception ratio is less than 2-1. He's got like 9 touchdowns and 5 picks. And the problem is his picks that he's throwing at the worst possible times. He cannot move the way he used to. I mean, he used to be able to make magic happen in the pocket. He cannot move the way he can. I'm sorry, his arm ain't as strong and he ain't as accurate as he used to be. He is a mediocre quarterback. And that game against the Buffalo Bills last night, I'm sorry, just kind of highlight. But John, what about that end of the first half when he threw the 50, whatever yard? That was a pure dumbass luck Hail Mary that he just tossed up into the end zone, and he got lucky that his receiver got there and pulled it down. Is what it is. Did you know, too, that Aaron Rodgers has now gone 28 games in a row without throwing for 300 yards? That is the longest active streak in the NFL. That is the longest active streak in the NFL. 28 straight games without being able to throw for 300 yards. And you can say, well, he came within a couple last night. Yeah, that's because there was a horseshoe up his ass and he tossed up a 50-plus yard Hail Mary that somebody pulled down and he got credited with the yards. Even then, he still didn't get to 300 yards. And I'm sorry. I watched Aaron Rodgers up at the podium throwing his receiver under the bus, blaming the receiver for the interception at the end. I'm sorry. I was talking to Ryan before the show started. I've rewatched that replay several times. That receiver had nothing but oceans of green between him and the end zone. He was there for the take, and Aaron Rodgers just brutally underthrew the ball. So not only did they not what would have been an automatic touchdown, that was one of the best interceptions I've seen this year. That was a crazy acrobatic interception.
Yeah.
But still ends up throwing a pick, ends the game when they were on the march and could have tied it and stuff like that. And again, this is just the New York Jets. And now that you've added Davante Adams, we're hearing everybody saying again, oh, now this is it. This is taking them to the promised land. No, it's not. Because I don't care if that was Davante Adams running that route. It was Aaron Rodgers still underthrows the ball. Aaron Rodgers is still not even in the top 10 of yards passing. He's still making bad decisions. The offensive line is mediocre. I mean, they're not bad, but they're certainly not good. He got hit
twice pretty bad last
night.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, they're not great. And you think throwing in Davante, by the way, a 32-year-old wide receiver coming off of a hamstring injury who hasn't been that Davante Adams we remember from 4 years ago, he hasn't been that guy in a while. And so I just don't see, look, do I think the Jets improve getting Davante Adams? Yeah. I mean, they're a little bit better today than they were yesterday. but they're a little bit better today than they were yesterday. It does not fix the fundamental problems that team has. Now, granted, what do they give up? 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
Okay, and they pick up a bunch of salary. But okay, I would have made that move too. I think that's a decent move. But I just think you're a special kind of crazy again if you think this fundamentally changes the New York Jets. It does not fundamentally change the New York Jets. And way out of his prime, not over the hill, just way past his prime, quarterback who's now a middle-of-the-road quarterback in the NFL with a 32-year-old wide receiver who hasn't played his best football in years and is coming off a hamstring injury. And you think that's going to take you to the promised land? I don't get it, and I don't see it. Ryan, the culture at the Jets is just bad. And you know what? I heard one sports commentator say this morning. I feel bad that I forget who it was. But you want to know the difference between a true champion and somebody like Aaron Rodgers? When Tom Brady imported into Tampa Bay, right? So Tampa Bay brought him in. He brought a winning culture with him. Because what did he do? He broke team rules, league rules, and maybe the law by getting his teammates together in the offseason at a high school football field so they could start to build chemistry. That's what Tom Brady did. You know what Aaron Rodgers did? During mandatory workouts, he took a trip to Egypt. While the rest of the team was doing mandatory workouts, he took a trip to Egypt. That is the difference between a true champion, a 10-time Super Bowl appearing quarterback, and a one-time Super Bowl appearing quarterback who is well past his prime at this point. Anyway, I think I must be taking crazy pills. Everybody thinks I'm nuts for saying that I don't think this move is going to vastly improve them or change the fate of the New York Jets. And by the way, I still think the Jets make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They still have one of the league's best defenses. Aaron Rodgers can put up numbers sometimes. I think they're going to win some games. I think they might even get to the playoffs. But I just don't think adding Davante Adams drastically improves his team. It's a marginal improvement at best. How do you see it?
I think it will help them. It helps spread the field more. So now with Garrett Wilson and him and Lazard and Breeze at running back, I think they have more weapons. You can't deny how good Adams was with Rodgers in Green Bay at that time.
They were a lethal combination.
That combination, 4 years ago. and they had a connection, even like just obviously playing with each other, but knowing where each other is on the field and all that. I think now it comes back to what you said with the age. Can Rodgers still play at a level to match what Adams can do? He's coming off a hamstring injury. He is 31 or 32.
32.
But he hasn't really. I mean, in Vegas, they haven't really had a good quarterback since Carr left. So can they both put up those same numbers that they used to? And we'll have to see. But I don't know. This is like the last thing that the Jets could do. The trade deadline is, 20 days away from now? So
yeah, 20.
I don't know what else they could do to improve their team. They've already got rid of their coach and all that. So this is basically it. They have.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
There was another receiver available that the Buffalo Bills went out to get. Amari Cooper. He's a Bill today. That was the other big trade.
Yeah. Same 3rd round pick. Same thing.
3rd round pick. Okay.
Yep.
Bills got the best of it. And I'll tell you why. Amari Cooper's not just younger by a couple of years. Last year on the Browns, Amari Cooper caught for over 1,250 yards. Yeah. 1,250 yards with Joe Flacco as his quarterback for much of that and Deshaun Watson for some of it. Now, this year's been a struggle because Deshaun Watson is legitimately one of the worst football players in the NFL, and they're not going to do anything with him as quarterback. You watch Amari Cooper with a Josh Allen. I honestly, I get it. Davante and Aaron have history. Yeah. They have chemistry. They have a shorthand with, I do get that. But I think their better move would have been to get Amari Cooper.
I would stick with Adams just for the connection, and you're basically giving Rodgers his guy. So now there's no excuse. Well, we could have got Adams, but we got Cooper. So I think you give him who he wants. They have the history. Well, let's see what they can do. Hopefully open up the field and see if Rodgers can be somewhat like he used to be.
Right.
And we'll see.
All right, guys. The question is for you. What do you think about this? Amari Cooper goes to Buffalo, but the headline today is Davante Adams reunites with Aaron Rodgers. Listen, take nothing away. what those two were able to accomplish together on the field, they put up some bonkers numbers years ago. I don't know. What do you think about this good move, bad move? I think it's a good, again, for a third round pick, and it does marginally improve your team. I like the move. I just don't think it's going to make the difference that some other people think it's going to make. However you guys feel about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we got a little bit of time left here, so we're going to take some questions from you guys. And you know what? Today's a momentous day over here at Filthy Sports. Our monetization got turned on.
I can eat.
What's that?
I can eat.
We can actually take, some people have sent in some super chat questions. We're going to take some of those, but also we're not only going to take super chat questions. Once we get through the super chat questions, we're going to go over to the live chat. And if you guys have a question, don't put them in quite yet. Wait till we get through the super chats.
Right, because they'll get lost.
Yeah, because they might get lost. So wait until we're done the super chats. But then if you look in the live chat, format it by putting question all in capital letters and then your question. That way we know you're asking us a question. But wait till we're done the super chat. So what have we got? We got a couple of super chats there, don't we?
Yeah, we got a few in.
What do we got?
So unknown, you are technically our very first
super chat.
You get the honorary horn.
Thank you, Unknown.
Yeah, and Unknown says, as a Raiders fan, I'm happy for Adams about the Gruden story from yesterday. The Raiders still pay him from his $100 million contract, so I don't see Gruden taking a paycheck from the league.
You're damn right he'll take a paycheck from the league. That $100 million after agent fees, taxes, whatever, he's probably looking at $45 million. And listen, here's a truism in life. When you have $1,000, you want $10,000. When you have $10,000, you want $100,000. When you have $100,000, you want $1 million. When you have $1 million, you want $100 million. When you have $100 million, you want $1 billion. And do not underestimate, if John Gruden wins this hearing with the Nevada State Supreme Court, and they say he can take this to trial and get his hands on all the dirty NFL emails, the NFL will back up dump trucks full of gold and pay John Gruden whatever he asks for. You're damn right he'll take the money. At the end of the day, he'll take the money, as any human being would. Unless they decide not to play ball and he'll go, okay, let's do discovery and we'll put some of these emails public. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. All right, what's next?
All right, we got only Giovanni all the time says with a $20 super chat.
Oh, thank you, man.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, John. Who had a worse weekend, the Dallas Cowboys or Joker 2? Joker 2.
Yeah, Joker 2. I mean, for those of you who don't follow us on the movie news stuff, Joker set an all-time comic book movie record for the worst second weekend in history, taking an 81% drop from weekend 1 to weekend 2. So, but listen, don't underestimate how bad the Cowboys weekend was, man. They got the living shit kicked out of them.
Did you see Jerry Jones threatening to fire the guys on the radio that asked him questions or whatever?
Yeah, Jerry Jones is losing it. Your 82-year-old owner, the owner should never be the general manager.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying Jerry Jones isn't a good football guy. I mean, clearly he's passionate about the game. He wants to win. I'm not taking any of that away from Jerry Jones. But you got to be able to separate the owner from the GM. And I just don't think that, and listen, he also kind of disqualified himself to me as a GM by making Dak Prescott, who I think is a good quarterback, but they made Dak Prescott the highest paid NFL football player in history. He is not a top 5 NFL quarterback. He's not top 5 in the league. He's good. I'd have him on my team. I think he's an entertaining, good, solid, talented football player, but he is not. So yeah, Jerry Jones got to hire a real GM. Got to hire himself a real GM. All right, what's next?
We got Quad Face who says, did you see Jerry Jones get mad on the radio?
He's just saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. But okay, look, in Jerry Jones's defense, he has been getting. How many times you can answer the same question? He has been getting flooded in the last 48 hours with, are you considering changing coach? Are you considering changing coach? Are you considering changing coach? How many, everybody's heard him be asked that and he's answered it. He says he's not considering changing the coach. He's a liar, but he's saying what he should say. He's got his coach's back. He absolutely is considering it. Make no mistake. And every time somebody throws a mic in his face, it's the same question. Are you considering changing the coach? And you know what? He lost his cool. When you're the owner, you get to do that. again, not a good look, but I kind of get it a little bit. All right, what's next?
K Major says, I was at a bar on Sunday and every man, woman, and child was cheering for the Lions, but at the same time, not a single Lions fan in the building. It was hilarious.
What is?
He basically means everyone's cheering against the Cowboys, but nobody's a Lions fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Listen, you know what? Here's the funny thing. I think I brought this up the other day. I have my whole life cheered against the Dallas Cowboys, and I love seeing the Cowboys lose. That's the one thing me and Stephen A. Smith have in common.
You need a cowboy hat when you come in.
Yeah. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah.
I love it when so much. Okay. I shouldn't even say this. Ann and I, I'm very lucky that I'm married to a woman who loves playing Dungeons and Dragons and loves sports. But we'll go out to a bar or a restaurant where we can watch the games. We have honestly walked into sports bars sometimes to watch games, and she'll see a couple of people wearing Dallas Cowboy jerseys, and she'll go, let's go somewhere else. So she totally likes to cheer against the Cowboys too. But the funny thing is, ask me who I hate on the Cowboys. I don't have anybody I hate on the Cowboys.
You just don't like the franchise.
I just don't like the franchise. You know, I don't hate Jerry Jones. The man's passionate. The man's passionate about his team, right? How good or bad of an owner is another thing, but he's clearly very passionate and wants to win. Mm-hmm. A guy does that, you're good in my books. I really like Dak Prescott, even though I don't think he's anywhere near worthy of being the highest paid player in the league. How do you not like Parsons? How do you not like I don't have anybody on the team I hate, but I hate the team. I don't know why.
That's how I am with like the San Francisco Giants baseball. Other than Bumgarner, who was one of their starting pitchers, I didn't like him, but the other people are really decent people. Like, they're good people. I don't have a problem with them. I just don't like the Giants. They're a classic rival of the Dodgers.
Justin in the live chat is saying Cowboys fans are telling John, you just made the list.
Oh,
it's like, yep.
You just made the list.
I am on the list. But and yet I want good things for the individuals on the team. It's funny. I even like Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's a great coach, but it is what it is. All right. What do we got next?
All right. We still got a few here, so we got to get through them. So Isaac Meckler says, will Tom Brady make a difference at all to the Raiders organization now that he's part owner? It's being reported that he'll have a prominent role.
I don't think so. No. He's now going to be a 10% owner of the team. He's not the general manager. He's not the vice president of operations. He's a broadcaster now. And by the way, because he's part owner of the Raiders, there are limitations on him now. He can't call Raider games, obviously, because there's a bias there, but they don't let him into the locker room. They don't let him into all that kind of stuff. So honestly, listen, I love Brady. Everybody knows I love Tom Brady. I honestly don't think he's going to make that much of a difference there because I don't really think he's going to have, unless they announce tomorrow he's going to be, the senior vice president of operations or something like that. I just don't see. You can say he's going to have a prominent role all you want. Until you give him a title, he ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
He's an owner. That's it, I think.
I mean, it's kind of like Magic Johnson with the Dodgers, right? He owns it, but he doesn't
really do anything, right?
He's just there. So.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Again, if go next season, they actually name Tom Brady and give him an actual role in the organization.
He's going to be the quarterback.
Title.
It's going to come down.
Why not?
Because he's 53 years old, John. He can't be a quarterback
still
anymore.
do it. He's still the best. All right, what's next?
He's going to run and his knees are going to be left behind him.
But his face is new.
Isaac Meckler said, let me scroll here real quick. Quadface says, what do you think of Clay joining the Mavs?
Listen, it was heartbreaking for everybody in the NBA that the Splash Brothers had to be broken up. But I understood why Golden State did what they did. I understand Clay saying, I want to move on. Is Klay Thompson... Listen, Golden State doesn't win any championships without Klay Thompson. I'm not taking anything away from Steph Curry, not at all. But Steph Curry without Klay Thompson, they don't win titles. The Splash Brothers were some of the most magical stuff to watch on the NBA court. Now, is Klay still the same Klay from 5 years ago? No, but you put out a legitimate perimeter shooting threat out there on the Mavs, an additional perimeter shooting threat to free up others.
Yeah, Luka and Kyrie.
Like
Yeah.
that. Now, Kyrie getting a little long in the tooth, although he showed some magic in the playoffs last year, some crazy. But like Luka is like, I don't know if you saw it. I think we talked about it. You see that Allen Iverson interview where they said, who's your favorite guy in the league right now? And Allen Iverson was like, Luka is that guy's nuts. That guy is just a bad man. Like he thinks he's the best player in the league. I don't know that I disagree with him. I think Luka is the best player in the league right now. So you give him another legitimate perimeter shooting threat to take some of the eyeballs off of Luka. It all depends on, does Clay digress?
Yeah.
Can he play at the same level he's played in the last year or two? Because I think that's good enough. Or does he digress? Because if he's able to play at even something similar to Klay Thompson-like standards, Dallas is already going to be a dangerous team.
Yeah.
They could be like legitimate title contenders.
I think the biggest thing with Clay is his defense has really fallen off. I mean, it's because he had, Achilles, ACL, a bunch of leg injuries. He can still shoot, and he does have those games where he'll hit 7 threes, 6 threes.
Yeah.
But over the last few years, he's had the games where he's been 0 for 10.
Yep.
So it's, can he stay consistent? And I think he won't have to carry as much on the Mavericks as he did on the Warriors, because they're still thinking he's the Klay Thompson from 2016, 17. Right. So I think if he can contribute for them and give them some threes and take some pressure off of Luka and Kyrie, I think it'll work. It's just, can he stay consistent enough and play a good enough defense on guards?
I think his ability to move the ball is tremendously underrated too. He's a great ball mover as well. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
King Daddy Goat says, do you view the 2020 title as a legit championship? He's specifically speaking about NBA.
Oh, we talking about, was that the bubble?
The bubble.
Yeah.
100%.
I do.
Everybody in the NBA who participated in that said that was the most difficult thing to do.
That's how I feel about the MLB. It was like 80 something games. Like, it was a sprint to the finish, but it's everyone tried for that World Series.
So the bubble championship, I'm a Lakers fan, so everyone's going to say, well, the Lakers won. I think the reason it gets the tarnish or the asterisk is because it was the Lakers. If it was anybody else, it would have been the greatest championship.
Oh, yeah.
If the Clippers would have won, nobody would have said anything. If it was Boston, nobody was. It's just because it's the Lakers and LeBron, they get the asterisk.
Yeah, and listen, again, so many players who participated in that on so many different teams said that was the most grueling, difficult thing they had to do. And the Lakers, so it's one, I would say it's even a more legitimate championship.
He said LeBron said it was the hardest title he ever won.
Yeah.
So I do think, like the Clippers, they even said being in that bubble was a distraction for them, and personal reasons, being away from their families, led to them kind of collapsing in their games against Denver. So like it had an effect on them in a negative way, but everyone else still played. So I don't know. I don't think it's illegitimate or asterisk. I think it should count as any other title.
Everybody played. Everybody competed on an equal playing field, and the Lakers won. And it like, listen, last time I checked, you still had to dribble the ball up the court, throw up the ball, and have it go into the net more times than the other team does it.
No fans, no home court.
Yep.
All even for everybody.
All right. What's next?
All right. Next up, we got Metaranta. I watched the opening ceremonies for Blue Jackets home opener just a moment ago with the Gondro family there.
Goudreau, yeah.
Goudreau. Just F drunk drivers, yeah.
That is one of the most heartbreaking, for those I talked about on my movie show, one of the most exciting young players in the NHL, all-star. The day and the evening before his sister's wedding, him and his brother go for a bike ride and they get hit by a drunk driver. Killed both of them. It's one of the most heartbreaking stories. And it's tragic for both of them. All I could think about was their sister. It's supposed to be her wedding day. And instead she's getting news that her two brothers are dead. I've gone on record. Jake, you can just go fucking die if you drive drunk. You can just go right fuck yourself if you drive drunk. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't care if you plow your truck into the side of a hill and die. I don't care. What I care about is everybody else on the road who's going to suffer because of you. Like I got no patience for that. I never have. I've had people in my life affected by drunk drivers. So, you can just go and take a baseball bat to your fucking face. If you ever drink and get behind the wheel of a car, go fuck yourself. All right. What's next?
We got Eric Kirby, I think. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts on Jerry Jones threatening to fire a radio guy because he asked a simple question?
Again, I get the frustration. I do. And look, all of us in moments of great stress will say things that maybe later we wish we could take back. We all do it, right? The people in front of the cameras are no different. It's just that when they do it in front of a camera, it's there for the whole world to see and talk about.
I need to look it up. Is it just like a local radio, or is it like a official Cowboys radio?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because if he can't fire, he'd have to be like, they have to work for the Cowboys so he can fire him.
I would say this, though. I think it's a different discussion if the story was the guy asked the question and then Jerry Jones did fire him.
Yeah.
That's a different discussion.
Yeah.
Saying something in the heat of the moment and then feeling stupid about it. Again, I'm not justifying it. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying I get it a little bit because we've all been there. All right, what's next?
We got Deez Weibo says, so how about those Dodgers? Go Mets.
Listen, be a Mets fan all you want. The Dodgers are outplaying the Mets. Aside from one inning where their bats went off, all credit to them. Aside from one inning where their bats went off, they've been getting dominated. The Dodgers have been dominating. Now, I'm not saying the Mets can't turn it around and dominate them in further games. Of course they can. But if you just want to be a realist, through 18 innings, the Dodgers are beating up on the Mets. And they got that one inning, and they were able to pull out the one game, and good on them. Kudos. That's baseball. But, yeah, if I'm the Mets, I'm feeling pretty good that you were able to get out of there with a 1-1 split. But they better start playing better because right now, simply put, the Dodgers are outplaying them. That's just the way it is. That's just a fact. So maybe they can turn it around. We'll see. All right, what's next?
We got Mr. I, who says, now that Cooper was traded, if the Cleveland fire sale opens, or if the Cleveland fire sale open here in Cleveland, we're hearing that Myles Garrett is available for trade.
Myles Garrett. See, a lot of people are saying Max Crosby is who Detroit should be looking at. And listen, you can get Max Crosby, you get him. I think the other one that I would be very interested in is the boy in Cleveland right now. I mean, I think that's the guy. Myles Garrett is a bad man. And I think that's somebody you look at. I don't know.
I think they probably should have a fire sale. They're not winning anything, and they have all that money owed to Watson. They can't get rid of him. So,
yeah,
get some picks and start over again.
Welcome to the next 3 years of the Deshaun Watson Cleveland Browns, where we got nothing else. All right, what's next?
All right, final three here. Unknown says, I'm in an awkward situation. My girlfriend's stepdad is a Cowboys fan.
Oh, no.
And I hate the Cowboys. Looks like I have to pretend to root for them for the rest of my life.
Oh,
or just be real, man, and you just have to work it out with them.
That is a tough situation. I would just, you might as well just put it on the table saying, man, I am not cheering for the Cowboys.
Well, how serious is the girlfriend?
But how important is the girlfriend?
Sure it's worth it.
But you know what? Listen, I remember when I started dating Ann, like I grew up as a Celtics fan, right?
Oh, yeah, I know. We watched the 2010 title and you had to leave.
I mean, I had to walk out. I mean, but I did get to see them win a title. But I mean, when I was a little kid starting to get into basketball, I mean, that was the Larry Bird, Danny Ainge, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson. You know, that was the team that kind of got me into basketball when I was a kid. And so for a long time, there's always been a special place in my heart for the Celtics. But Ann is very much a Lakers girl, 100%. So, but we were able to have fun with it. You know, we were able to have fun with it and just go in there, be honest with them, and have fun with it. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Billy, who says 200 plus yards and penalties during the game last night really kills the flow and excitement of a game when refs are throwing flags every 30 seconds.
Okay, listen, I heard like Rich Eisen talking about this too and stuff like that, but I understand the complaining. What's the alternative?
Yeah.
Like, here's the problem. The problem is last night's game, almost every flag I saw thrown when they played the replay, I'm like, yeah, that's a penalty. Like, there are games when flags are flying, it's like, that was questionable, and I don't know if they should have thrown that. Like, that happens. But most of the flags last night I'm watching, it's like, yep, that was offside. Yep, that guy held him. Yep, that was illegal hands. Yep, like, what's the alternative? Are we then asking the refs to pick and choose when they do and do not call penalties? I just
that leads to a worse outcome.
yeah, that
they
leads
missed
to a
something horrible
much
that-
worse
yeah.
outcome.
Just yeah.
And listen, should we complain that there were a lot of flags? Yes, but where does the blame lie? The blame lies with the Jets and the Bills. It's their fault. They're the ones committing the penalties. And I don't want to watch an NFL where we're asking the refs. We put the power into the referees' hands saying, you pick and choose which penalties you want to call. If you feel like calling a penalty, call it. If you don't. Yeah, there are times, hey, listen, if something's marginal, maybe let it go. But again, most of the penalties last night, they were clearly breaking, like they were clearly committing the penalties. So what's a ref supposed to do?
And it was both teams. It wasn't just one team.
It was both. I think they both had 11
each.
penalties.
Yep.
So it's not like it was one over the other, but again, too many penalties? Yes, but the blame is on the Jets and the Bills, not on the refs. All right, what's next?
All right, Deez Huevos is back. I don't know why it makes me laugh, but all right. As a Texans fan who share the same state as the Cowboys, their fans are the reasons why we want the Cowboys to lose. Are they like Astros fans? I guess I shouldn't say that. If you're
Well,
from Houston.
listen, look, the other thing is, too, one of the reasons I think so many people hate the Cowboys is because they're America's team.
Well, self-appointed America's
Well,
team.
is it really self-appointed? Because you watch them go on the road almost everywhere.
Yeah.
Whenever the Dallas Cowboys are on the road, wherever they go, that opposing stadiums, there's going to be a lot of Cowboy jerseys. They have fans literally across the whole country. It reminds me a lot of when the Patriots were so dominant, although the Cowboys haven't been dominant in decades. But when the Patriots were dominant, people just love to hate them. I mean, it's just everywhere. But I think with the Cowboys, maybe it rubs people the wrong way. They go into the stadiums and you see so many Cowboy jerseys. I don't know. It's just a guess. Just a guess.
That's it for them.
All right, let's now, guys. If you guys are watching and you're in the live chat right now, we're going to take a couple of minutes and take a few of your live questions. If you want to go in again, make sure to put in all capital letters question, then the question, so we know you're talking to us, and we'll answer a couple of them here. All right, what do we got?
Okay, Espinoza says this weekend is a Super Bowl rematch between the Chiefs 49ers. Who do you guys have? It's going to suck that Taylor Swift won't be at the game. She's back on tour. Bang, bang, Niner gang. I almost said that wrong.
We would have been canceled already.
Is Christian McCaffrey playing? No. It ain't going to be the 49ers. Look, listen, I still believe a fully healthy 49ers team beats the Chiefs. I do. But the Chiefs are simply too good to think you're going to go in there and beat them when you're not at 100%. And listen, the Chiefs don't look dominant to me this year. They don't. They're winning the games. They're finding ways to win. That's what good teams do. But they don't look like they're running over people. Listen, I seriously think right now the Baltimore Ravens at, what are they, 4-2?
Yeah.
I think the Baltimore Ravens at 4-2 look far more dominant than the Kansas City Chiefs do at 5-0. But I think the Chiefs win this weekend. I'll be cheering for the 49ers, but I think the Chiefs win this weekend.
It's in Santa Clara. I would go with the Chiefs.
You are?
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Fantastic Priest says, will the Utah Hockey Club take their early season momentum to the postseason? Or how far will they get?
Look, whenever you're talking about a team that's just made a move and stuff like that, and by the way, why have you not come up with a name for you've had a year to come up with a name, unless they're literally taking the soccer approach and literally just going to call them the Hockey Club.
Yeah.
It's way too early to say. Preseason means nothing in every sport. So I don't know, but listen, it would make a really nice story. Look, when the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup, as the quickest team ever to do it, that's a great story. If Utah can come out of the gate and really have a great season and make a deep playoff, that would be a great story too, but it's way too early to call. All right, what's next?
Let's see. We got Kareem who says, what sports did you guys grow up playing as kids, young adults? So I'm assuming, like, did you guys play on teams?
Yeah.
Like school teams or whatever?
I played league basketball all through like high school and then at parks, and not that I'm great, but I played in gyms and stuff, mostly basketball though.
Yeah, so I obviously, because I'm Canadian and it's law, right from the moment I could walk, I played hockey.
It's like you have to learn French and you got to play hockey.
You got to learn French and you got to play hockey.
That's not bad requirements.
I mean, I played literally, I started skating right from, I'm the classic Canadian story. Like my dad would go to the local community park, build an ice rink every winter. We would go play. Then I played in organized leagues from a little kid.
Yeah.
Once I got into school, I started playing a lot of basketball. This is going to surprise a lot of you. I played on the provincial all-star team. Now, granted, in Canada, but still, I played provincial all-star basketball. And in high school, I played a lot of football and wrestling.
Yeah, I didn't do sports teams. I did cross country. I did track and field, so I did 100-meter dash, long jump, and triple jump. That was my
Really?
thing. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever known anybody that's done triple jump.
Yeah. It sucks. It's hard.
It looks like it would jam your back up pretty bad too.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got over under 50%. This is from Jeremy Miller. The whole NFC North makes the playoffs.
Under.
Yeah, I don't think the whole 3 could. I don't know about all 4.
Because Chicago's
that
right?
one. I don't.
Listen. Chicago, the Bears are a really nice story this year. Caleb Williams, we put up the stat the other day. His numbers are getting better and better every single game. He's developing. He's improving. They're 4-2, but they're beating bottom dwellers. And again, they're a very nice story, but the reality is they're in year 1. They're going to lose a lot of games. And I don't see Chicago making the playoffs, but I don't care. They are still a good team to watch. They are a developing team. They're going to be good in a couple of years. But right now, they're only beating teams they really should be.
Yeah, 6 of their games are against the other 3 good teams.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to.
Yeah, so I don't see Chicago making it. All right, what's next?
All right, this one's kind of a cool crossover. Will the Paramount, Lorenzo says, will the Paramount Skydance merger give Skydance access to more NFL content?
Well, I mean, through Paramount, they've got the CBS deal. Skydance is Paramount. They own Paramount. So I'm not quite sure what the structure of your question is. Paramount is just going to get what they get. But now that they got more play, I mean, look, Netflix wants to get into the NFL. Amazon's already got some NFL and it's done wonders for their streaming numbers. It'll be interesting to see what it does across the board, though. All right, what's next?
All right. Rainmaker says, what are your thoughts on Drake May's debut? I thought he looked good, all things considered.
Not bad.
Yeah.
As long as New England Patriot fans, now then again, Mac Jones, right?
Yeah.
He looked not bad too, starting. Look, as long as New England Patriot fans are patient and understand that, when a guy like in Houston comes out in the draft and then just balls right away, that's the exception. That, like, a lot of these quarterbacks, it takes some time, and you got to give him time to develop. Ideally, the Patriots would have been able to stick with Brissett a little bit longer so May can sit on the bench, learn, develop, all that kind of stuff. That wasn't working, so they had to thrust him in there. So didn't look bad. Just be patient. He's going to have some rough games, but just be patient. Remember, Troy Aikman went 1-15 in his rookie year. Okay? I'm just throwing that out there. 1-15, that dude's a multiple NFL Super Bowl champion and a Hall of Famer now. I'm not saying May's the next Troy Aikman. Just be patient. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's take 2 more, then we'll call it a day.
All right, Jeremy Seitz says, NBA is targeting expansion in a few years.
Yeah.
If they add 2 teams, who should it be? Seattle seems a shoe-in.
It's going to be Vegas.
Seattle and Vegas.
And supposedly LeBron has dibs on ownership.
Well, LeBron has
Part
publicly
ownership
said
of Vegas. So.
Yeah, he's publicly said he wants in on that.
Yeah.
Right? And why wouldn't you?
Seattle technically never lost the Supersonics. They still have
the name.
So they're definitely going to be there. And then Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those absolutely are the 2 cities. Look, Las Vegas has just proved it's a sports town, right? Because not only do you have locals going to the games, you have everybody visiting wants to go to a game when they're visiting, right? It's working. Listen, Ann and I went to a Raiders game recently at Allegiant. What an environment. Like, what a wild environment. It was great. I haven't had a chance to go to a Golden Knights game yet at T-Mobile Arena,
That'd be
but
fun.
It looks amazing. Yeah. Clearly, they can support sports there. They're going to get one. So it's going to be them in Seattle. All right, last question of the day.
Okay, we got Young Lambo who says, who y'all got between Max Holloway and Ilya?
Listen, Max is a warrior. He's an all-time great. He's going into the Hall of Fame. His last fight against Gaethje was completely nuts. He lost. I mean, look, he couldn't get by Alexander the Great. So, and it just kept losing to him. So that's one thing. But Ilya is a new generation fighter. And I think Max is going to put on a show. But I think Max gets beat. Even though he's great, I love him, I think Max gets beat. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of Filthy Sports. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. Big special thank you to all you guys who, now that we have Super Chats open, actually supported us and sent in Super Chats. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate that. And all you guys in the live chat for sending in questions, for being here and watching our little show. Hey, listen, guys, we're a brand new channel. If you could support us by sending in Super Chats, that's great. But I mean, there's also other ways to support us. Comment on our videos. Make sure you click the thumbs up button. That engagement really helps us with the YouTube algorithm so other people can discover our content as well. And thank you to all you guys for being here and joining us as well. We'll be back again tomorrow. I want to thank Jonathan Voico,
See you guys later.
Ryan Myers.
Thanks, guys.
My name's John Caby, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, everybody, bye-bye.